G'day legends and welcome back to the channel. With Mist of Pandaria Classic launching in just 4 weeks, it's time to help you figure out what class to main. Now, heads up, Blizzard's still tweaking things. This video is based on the latest tuning of June 29, 2025, and if anything changes, I'll try and pin it in the comments. We've cross-referenced 5 major tier lists, secured class discords, and even looked back at the top logs from the original mob. We're looking at which specs shine for raiding and dominate challenge modes, and how they'll scale across patches. So let's get into it. Alright, let's kick things off with tanks. Blood Death Knight is an absolute war right now. Death Strike is healing scales with the damage you just took, and in mob, that was often a massive chunk. Add in Bone Shield uptime from the tier 16 2-piece, and you've got a tank that can solo outlast mechanics, especially strong in spike heavy fights like Shire of Fear. Brewmaster Monk is tied for top. The stagger mechanic converts incoming damage into a dot, letting the smooth out burst. Combine that with the elusive Brew for a dodge and dampen harm, they're nearly unkillable. Brewmasters shine in multi-ad fights like Windlord or Dark Animus. Protection Paladin has fantastic cooldowns. Consistent mitigation with Shield of the Righteous and Devotion Aura is a huge raid CD. The only reason they're not S tier is their struggle against big magic burst phases. Protection Warrior is reliable with shield block and barrier, and Demoralizing Shout is clutch, slightly behind due to its raid dependence on uptime. And finally, Guardian Druid has a huge HP pull and solid sustain with Frenzy Regeneration, but their active mitigation falls behind. You'll feel it during heavy spell mechanics where bears don't have much to answer with. What about our melee DPS? Lots of strong contenders here. Arms Warrior is nuts. Sweeping strikes into Bladestorm is a delete button on cleave fights. Add in their tier 15 4-piece, which boosts crit and rage. They destroy stacked encounters like Windlord or Council of Elders. Unholy DK jumped up in the recent tuning pass, with Soul Reaper got buffed, their AoE from diseases, and Defile is nuts in Throne of Thunder, and they scale great with gear. Subtly Rogue is top tier for pure single target. Once you get the tier 16 2-piece, you're refunding energy constantly and can maintain near perfect uptime on Slice and Dice. Excellent for fights with heavy movement and short burn windows. Enhancement Shaman brings solid AoE through Fire Nova builds and always offers through totems and raid utility. They shine on fights like Protectors where there's consistent multi-target pressure. Windwalker Monk is versatile, especially with the Fist of Fury and Spinning Crane Kick stacking up in cleave. Solid starter pick, and they ramp harder in later tiers. Feral Druids have a strong sustained damage but suffer when target switching. Still high skill ceiling and decent across all content. Retribution Paladin and Assassin Rogue sit lower because their output just doesn't match the others in early tiers, and they need ideal conditions to shine. Let's shift to ranged DPS. This is where the real damage meters get dominated. Survival Hunter is the king of mobility and multi-dotting. Explosive shot procs with lock and load make them constant pressure dealers. They excel in movement-heavy fights and challenge modes where uptime matters. Demonology and Affliction Warlocks dominate too. Snapshotting dots with trinkets and Dark Stole still works in Classic, and fights like Dark Animus and Garrosh Favor, they ramp. Demonology's Immolation Aura during meta phases wrecks in Cleave. Arcane Mage has one of the strongest burst windows in the game. Stack cooldowns with Alter Time and blow bosses up. The tier 15 2-piece makes Nether Tempest cleave harder, adding AoE viability. Frostmage, Marksman Hunter, and Shadow Priest are solid backups. They bring utility, but not the same raw damage as the top tier specs. Elemental Shaman was underwhelming early on, but just got a 6% buff to Lightning Bolt in the latest patch, so they are climbing. Healers are looking very competitive, and a few specs are clearly ahead. Disciplined Priest breaks the game in the best way. Spirit Shell lets you pre-shield entire raid bursts, and once you're gear into Mastery and get the tier 16 4-piece, your raid feels immortal. perfect for soaking mechanics like Aligon or Lei Shen. Holy Paladin is a beacon but with style. Eternal Flame, Blanketing, and Daybreak Cleave heals make them monsters on stacked fights. Great synergy in 10 and 25 man alike. Mistweaver Monk brings consistent healing with Renewing Mist and Uplift, and Revival is one of the best raid-wide cooldowns. The only drop when fights space out too much. Restoration Shaman are excellent in clump fights with Healing Rain and Chain Heal. Capacitor Totem and Spirit Link give great utility for challenge modes. Restoration Druid and Holy Priest are B tier mostly due to scaling. They're great on the move, but their raw throughput just lags behind the others. Alright, so what if you're not raiding and just want to dominate challenge modes? Top comps include specs with big burst, off heals, and mobility. Think Brewmaster Tank, Disc Priest, Survival Hunter, Arcane Mage, and Sub Rogue. You've got the Cloak of Shadow skips, you've got Burst and Invis, Misdirect for skipping can help, and of course that tank mobility and damage smoothing. Mobility, burst, easy clears. Quick note, Fire Mage ramps up once you hit crit cap and get tier 16 from extra heating up procs. Fury Warrior goes nuts with rage-free Wild Strike on tier 16. Elemental Shaman climbs with patch buffs. And Rep Paladin gets major defensive and group healing boosts with their tier 15 4-piece. So there it is, a full breakdown of the best specs to play as we head into Mob Classic. Remember, balance may change a little before launch, but this should give you a solid start. Pick what you enjoy, know your raid or dungeon role, and how your spec evolves with gear and tier bonuses. If you found this helpful, hit a like, smash that sub button, and drop a comment with your meaning. Catch me live on Twitch TV Mrreeeee, where we'll theorycraft, sim specs, and dive into Mob the second it drops. May your brews stay smooth and your bone shields never fall.